Life is unpredictable, and it often takes you down roads you didn't expect to travel. I never imagined that I would be standing in front of a new city, with a job offer that could change my entire future. For years, I had been stuck in a routine. The same job, the same apartment, the same faces every day. But when the opportunity to move abroad came, I couldn't say no. The city was vibrant, alive with energy. The streets were always full of people, some rushing to work, others walking slowly, savoring the moment. The buildings were modern, but there was history in the air, in the architecture. Every corner seemed to tell a story, and I was eager to listen. But deep down, I was nervous. Nervous about starting over. Nervous about leaving everything behind. I packed my life into 2 suitcases and said goodbye to the familiar, hoping the unfamiliar would bring me what I had been longing for, a fresh start. The first few days were overwhelming. The language was different, the culture was different, even the food was different. Everything felt like a puzzle I couldn't quite solve. I wandered around the city, trying to get a feel for it. The people were friendly, but there was a distance, an unspoken barrier that I struggled to cross. At first, I was unsure of myself. Every step I took felt like I was in someone else's life. I found comfort in small things. The way the sun hit the cobblestones in the morning, the taste of a croissant from the local bakery, the sound of children playing in the park. But I also felt a sense of loneliness that I hadn't expected. Despite being surrounded by thousands of people, I felt isolated. I missed the familiarity of my old life, my old friends, and the comfort of knowing exactly what was going to happen every day. But deep down, I knew that this discomfort was part of the process. It was part of the journey I had chosen. As the days turned into weeks, things began to feel more familiar. I found an apartment in a quiet neighborhood, not far from work. The people in the building were kind, though reserved, and it became my little corner of the world. It wasn't home yet, but it was a start. Work was different, too. I was part of an international team, working on projects that challenged me every day. The language barrier was still present, but it was becoming less of an obstacle. I began to pick up new words, to understand the conversations around me. I started to feel like I was part of something bigger than myself, something that didn't just belong to one place or one culture, but to the world. Despite the challenges, I could feel myself growing. Every day was a learning experience, a chance to expand my knowledge and to push my limits. I started to believe that I had made the right choice, but life, as it always does, has a way of throwing unexpected challenges your way. One morning, I woke up to a message that changed everything. The company I was working for had been acquired by a much larger corporation, and with the acquisition came changes, big changes. Many of my colleagues were let go, and the rest of us were left wondering what would happen next. The uncertainty was terrifying. I had only just started to settle into this new life, and now it felt like the ground was slipping beneath me. I wasn't sure what to do. Should I stay and hope for the best, or should I leave and go back to my old life? The thought of leaving felt like a failure, but staying felt like stepping into the unknown. In the midst of this, I found a surprising source of strength. It came from within. I realized that I had made it this far, and I wasn't going to let fear dictate my next move. I decided to stay, to face whatever came next with courage. I wasn't alone. I had a support system, and I had the skills to adapt. A few weeks later, an opportunity arose. A new position opened up in a different department, one that was more aligned with my interests and long-term goals. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was a chance. I took a leap of faith and applied. The interview process was intense. I had to present my ideas, explain my vision, and demonstrate my ability to adapt to change. It was nerve-wracking, but I did my best. When I received the offer, I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I had done it. I had faced the uncertainty and come out on top. The new role was demanding but rewarding. It challenged me in ways I hadn't imagined. I was surrounded by brilliant people, and every day was an opportunity to learn and grow. Slowly but surely, I was becoming the person I had hoped to be when I first arrived in this city, strong, capable, and confident. In the meantime, I started to build relationships outside of work. I joined a local book club, where I met people from all walks of life. I also started to explore more of the city, visiting museums, art galleries, and cafes. I found that it wasn't just the people in my apartment building that I could connect with, but people everywhere. There was a sense of community here that I hadn't anticipated, and I began to feel less like an outsider and more like someone who belonged. One of the most surprising relationships I developed was with a colleague, Sophie. She had been working at the company longer than I had, and her insight and experience were invaluable. We started to have lunch together every day, discussing everything from work to our personal lives. She became a mentor, a friend, and a source of support when things got tough. As the months went by, I began to find a balance in my life. I had my career, my friendships, and my personal passions. I started running every morning, a habit I had picked up from a colleague who was an avid runner. It became a way for me to clear my mind, to focus, and to set the tone for the rest of the day. I also made time for reading, a passion I had neglected for years. Finding balance wasn't easy. There were days when I felt overwhelmed, when I questioned whether I was doing enough. But with each passing week, I learned to manage my time better and to prioritize what truly mattered. I had started this journey with a sense of fear, but now, I had found a rhythm that worked for me. Despite the progress I had made, I still faced personal struggles. The loneliness was something I couldn't shake. Even though I had made friends and built relationships, there were moments when I missed home. I missed my family, my old friends, and the familiarity of everything. I often found myself longing for something I couldn't put into words, a sense of belonging. Perhaps I realized that no matter how far you go, no matter how much you change, there will always be parts of you that are connected to your past. And that's okay. It's okay to miss home, to feel like you're not fully settled. It's part of the journey, part of what makes you who you are. Just when I thought things were falling into place, an unexpected setback occurred. The project I had been working on for months was suddenly cancelled. The company had shifted its priorities, and the work I had poured my heart into was no longer needed. At first, I felt defeated. All of my hard work seemed wasted. But then, I realized that setbacks are not failures, they are lessons. I took the time to reflect on what had gone wrong, what I could have done differently, and what I had learned from the experience. The setback didn't define me. It was just another chapter in my journey. And I was ready for whatever came next. Looking back on the past year, I couldn't believe how far I had come. I had faced challenges, made mistakes, and learned valuable lessons. I had grown in ways I never thought possible. And yet, I knew that this was just the beginning. The journey was far from over. There were still so many experiences to be had, lessons to be learned, and people to meet. I had started this adventure with uncertainty and fear, but now I faced the future with confidence and excitement. Whatever came next, I knew I was ready.